So if you've just watched the delay video last week, then this is the follow-up to that. And in that delay video, I said I don't really use reverb on guitars, but I do. I use it in the context of making the guitars sit front to back in the mix with the drums, the bass, the vocals. Just send all of the guitars to a reverb. Seventh heaven. Let's try large wooden room and let's see what happens when we just stick them all on full. So let's dial in the reverb time, right? That actually sounds really natural. I think mostly because it's got all the early reflections in. It sounds really natural. If we just stick it on late. That sounds like they're in a big room. That sounds really cool to me. So take all of those back. Now we've chosen our sound, and I'll do this in solo. I obviously wouldn't normally do it in solo. I'm going to just listen to the guitar and put in enough reverb until I can just hear the reverb and bring it back down again. So that's a really subtle difference. Let's do the solo. Can get away with a lot more reverb on the solo and it's still sounding natural. That's very cool. These synth guitars probably don't need a lot. Get really washy really quick. Not going to use reverb on those. Where are these strums? These happen in the pre-chorus, I believe. So those I actually do want to be washed out. I do want those to feel very ethereal. So I'm just going to basically leave the reverb on full. Cool. Don't need to overthink it. So the reason why you want to take it to the point where you can hear the reverb and then dial it back a bit again is because by the time you add any mix bus compression, or if your mastering engineer does and there's limiting, that's just going to bring up all of the lower level stuff that's in your mix. Your reverbs are going to get too loud, and then as your mix gets near the volume that's going to compete on like radio, on Spotify and all those sorts of things, it's going to get too washy. So that actually sounds pretty good. So now what we can do is just listen to this reverb. And this is called the Abbey Road reverb trim. You just need a filter basically, and you want to filter out the low end. That just cleans it up loads. Filter out the top end. So before, after, so if you're trying to create like a really loud mix, carving out all those extra low end and high end frequencies from your reverb is going to give you more headroom. Basically, it will sound less natural though. The other thing that I don't like about the effect of that is it pushes the reverb to be too mid-rangey. So now what I'm going to do is post reverb, I'm going to EQ. So before, after, It's just helping it sit back in the mix a little bit. So why don't we A/B both of those? Now the reverb's sitting way further back in the mix, and that's going to help us create front to back depth throughout the mixing process. And if you're anything like me, you love a bit of front to back depth. Let's listen to all of those, and I'm not going to put any reverb on this one. Let's hear all of those with and without reverb. Just adds so much life and space to the mix. I love it. I do. If you've watched my template video, I have a very, no pun intended, convoluted reverb setup.